Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. In Nier Reincarnation, let's revisit this format where I look at all of the limited characters together. The first one I made was pre-awakening, so a lot has changed since then. Also, the power creep since about summer-ish has been real, so the releases before then are not looking so hot now. I've even heard users suggest 4-star A2, 2B, and 9S should be given out to everyone, because it would have so little impact. It's about time to release new versions of them, maybe the Nintendo Switch, Japanese styles. And then in that last video, I went more or less in chronological order, but here let's start with New Year's. One reason is because it's probably on a lot of people's minds, and I have finally made up my mind about them. The second reason is because the first New Year's banner looks very different for global JP users and C users. I have not made videos specifically for the C users lately, and I apologize. I hope my videos have still been helpful. But this overview is going to mean something a little different to you, because although I call some banners or units outdated, to you they will be new releases. And I think the best way for C players is to look at this video and the old video together, but I'll try to keep you in mind as I go through here. It'll be especially relevant for the first banners of every seasonal release, summer, Christmas, and New Year's. And while we're on the topic of New Year's units, I want to address that I got some pressure to make stronger statements on them, or say them faster. I thought me and my mission statement with my channel were already well established, but I guess not, so I'll take some time here to explain it again. On the speed issue, I'm not about chasing views and putting out the hot takes. I don't care about the growth of this channel. It is an unmonetized hobby channel. I have a lot of subscribers, but that is in spite of my best efforts, not because of them. I am not famous, I'm not a big shot, I'm not an influencer. I'm just a guy in his living room sharing his love for games. My mentality towards YouTube is still very influenced by the 2010 environment, which is maybe off-putting for folks who have joined later. On the strength of statement issue, spoiler alert, but I will never say that any new release is a must-pull or a must-skip. That has been my policy since I started doing this, maybe, 8 years ago? I'm not about making decisions for you, the viewer. I'm not about telling you what to do. I am not a meta male, and I enjoy finding the use in every release, hyped or hidden, new or old. Before I recommend someone pull for something, I would recommend to try to make it work with what you already have. And if I can be perfectly honest, I don't sense a lot of urgency in regards to making content for Nier Reincarnation. It's a small game with a small global community that is getting even smaller. I see the recent drop in views on not only my videos, but the other content creators as well, and I'm like, oh well. Not to say that I don't take it seriously, but yeah, the urgency I don't feel. You want to talk about pressure or obligation to the community, I felt that when my videos were getting 10k views the first couple days. But the stakes overall for content creators and players and the developers are low, so this game should be just a fun little diamond in the rough. When people use this game as an excuse to attack or pressure other people, I'm like, relax, not a big deal. It's like dads flipping out at Little League baseball games, you look ridiculous. Alright, but now that everyone has turned off the video, let's start the overview. My ratings are also going to be affected by awakenings and general power creep. The older units especially will take big hits, but with stats creeping up, and with awakenings and with so many options for healers now, I'm no longer going to consider fragility a demerit in tower, so some ratings there will improve. A unit's ability to help with the chain missions, or especially the damage missions, will raise their rating. I used to add a disclaimer for why I was giving like A2, a D in tower, but now I won't need any disclaimers, except for one. I reserve A ratings in tower or Recollections of Dusk for the healers. Everyone else will top out at B. I famously pissed off some people by giving Dark Memory Lars a B in tower before. The attackers are going to get that score again, so let's see if I can piss them off again. Also, I'm dropping the farming category. I don't think anybody cares about that anymore. Okay, but let's talk about the New Year's units. The first New Year's banner is not looking very good in the state that JP and Global is in. I say there in the highlights that if you have Bloody Griff, I think this banner is a total skip. But for the C players, New Year 063Y is going to be a meta-defining unit for over half a year, so I think it's worth pulling for him. But Noelle has not stood up. She even got a buff. She is still no good. And then New Year's Leon is outclassed, I would say, by the Dark Memory Leon, who is a free unit. Okay, next we have the new New Year's units. For Marie, I tried her out. I think the best way to think about her is to ignore her cooldown haste ability. Use her for the attack buff and then the light element buff, and then her just general kind of beefiness with her stats, and I think that'll be the best way to use her. But her weapon is top class. I think that would be worth pulling. And then Yuri and Fio, I'll call them next-gen attackers. They're very strong. My next handbooks are going to go to Fio, and then I'll try to max her out and then test her out in some videos. Okay, next we have Automata 1 and 2. Automata 1 has not aged well. As I just said, they could even be handouts, and I don't think it would be that big of a deal. But 2B, I think she's still viable for PvP. I just showed a video where Abstract Gale was doing just fine in top 20, and then 2B is very similar to Abstract Gale, so maybe she could be used in that way. Automata 2, I think the weapons from 2P and Akeha are still fine, but maybe the real get from the Global or JP player's point of view is Fio for the healing. This might be more reflecting my playstyle, but having a great variety of healers that can equip a great variety of main hand weapons has been super helpful for me, especially in clearing missions, like if they ask for use a fist user or use a short sword user. Now with the options that we have, we can use healers in those positions. And then with Recollections of Dusk, asking for specific characters, having more different characters able to be the healer is it kind of frees up your team building. Okay, next we have the old collaborations, Replicant and Drakengard. Not a lot to recommend here, except again, Fio as a healer, and then this one has a status heal, so that can help you with burn or poison or blind or whatever. Otherwise, I could point out the healing staff from Emil, Wind Element, but there is the 3-star Hatcher Wind staff which also heals, so you could get away with just using that. I have a few copies of that just because it is so good. Okay, and then we have Summer. Recently, I talked about Summer and Leon as super strong, but maybe not good to pull for from now. But like Summer Akeha or A2, I call them kind of the old generation of top tier attackers. They're still usable today in JP and Global, but yeah, they are outclassed with the coming units. Alright, and then we have Summer 2, which is much more interesting, I think. But 063Y, he is a power-crept A2. I don't know if I would call him next-gen, compared to the units that are coming later, like Anniversary or Christmas. I'd be interested to hear, actually, how people feel about Summer 063Y in light of some of the more recent releases. And then F66X, niche counter I put there. Great for Arena and Tower and Recollections of Dusk. She has the ability to turn off certain skills, like Regen or Provoke. In certain situations, it is amazing, so I think it is worth pulling just for that. And then Sadhu, arguably the best healer in the game, with the fastest character skill heal. Good banner to pull overall. Okay, next we have Christmas. Christmas 1 is kind of the exception of the seasonal banners that are the first one to come around, because all of these units are still very good. And then Lavanya got a buff recently. But here I have all of the same highlights from the previous video, but it's a weird banner for a beginner because there's no top tier attacker, which is really what you want for a new account. but they are all great support characters. And then at the bottom I put that Fio and Akiha are terrific unawakened, but I could add Lavania to that. I showed a video with the Versus Dark subjugations where Lavania was totally unawakened and he was great as a support character. Level 70, so yeah. This would be a great banner to pull on, no matter what server you are on. Okay, then we have Christmas 2, Griff and Priet. They are part of that group of next-gen attackers. They are element specialists, but they can go to any element still and then get top-tier damage. Gale is maybe my unit of the year for 2022, but top class for both Arena and PvE. But having kind of a similar character skill to Anniversary Demas, which can give you like some defense and some mitigation barriers at the beginning of battle, really helpful for Arena. And then a regen, which is a top class that'll give you 50% total, makes her great for PvE as well. And then like I said earlier with Fio, being valuable as a healer with kind of an unusual main hand weapon, Gale is also that, so yeah, she is terrific. And then Sadiu and her weapon, maybe a little underrated or kind of lost compared to all of these other super duper awesome characters, but also really good, both as a support character and an attacker. Okay, next we have a couple of recent collaborations, Persona and Sino Alice. Persona is kind of weird because all three characters, they're all kind of similar. They are all really solid attackers, although I don't know if you could call them next gen. This is a great banner for beginners because, again, really strong attackers is what you want in the early days of the game. But yeah, like no support, no tanks, no healing, so yeah, also kind of a weird banner. And then we have Sino Alice, Akiha. She is a next-gen attacker, specializing in the fire element. And then Sadiu, top-tier PvP support. She's like an upgraded version of Christmas Fio, which is pretty crazy. Alright, and then finally, let's talk about Anniversary. This is probably what's next on everyone's mind. But Anniversary 1, I would say Gale and Noelle are still worth getting and then using. Even before Awakenings came out, Anniversary Gale could get SSS 10 in subjugation, so she still has her role. And then Noelle, nice character skill buff, also for subjugations. And then both of their weapons still pretty good as well. And then I do want to shout out Anniversary Griff, super niche use case. But both him and his weapon can really break attack, so that could be good for some PvE. Alright, and then we have Anniversary 2. Sadiu, I think she'll be an eternally underrated attacker, but because her best weapon is Light Element, that Blackhorn Staff, that does restrict her to where she can go. Leon, I don't think, is very good. His staff is nice. And then Demas, still a PvP staple today, so very worth pulling, even today. Alright, and then we have the most recent Anniversary. We have two next-gen attackers in Marie and Yuri. And then another top-tier support character in Akiha. That's a very worthwhile banner to pull on. And then finally we have Final Fantasy XIV, which kind of hasn't aged very well. When they came out, they were crazy because they had super high stats. But now a lot of the recent releases, they've had similar stats. When Noelle came out, she was maybe the best attacker in the game. Now she's only the best spear attacker, which is still useful. Wish I had her. And then 063Y, he was a head-scratcher on release. He has not turned out to be very good. But his weapon does have a provoke, which comes in handy once in a while for PvE, sometimes subjugations. Depends on your account. Okay, but that is an overview of all of the limited and seasonal banners. It'll be fun to see what they release with Anniversary 4. Alright, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.